Have you ever found yourself reading without understanding a single thing you had read? If so, then you know where my head was one morning on the day after Christmas. The Bible story had faded into a blur of words on a page. The process had deteriorated into required reading, a perfunctory act of discipline in case God was watching. Ouch! Ever been there? Well, I read the verse again, sort of disoriented, realizing that I had not understood a thing. And it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain to pray and continued all night in prayer to God. I thought about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. My attention turned from my phone call to the sufferings of my Savior. I thought about my own momentary lack of focus that morning. I remembered how slow my morning prayer time had passed, praying over the usual selfish concerns, family, work, health, finances. Each was important to me, but none were big issues in the scope of world conditions. Now, I need to remind you that this was the morning after Christmas, the official start of the time between the celebrations. Being perfectly honest, I was still sort of smarting from our family Christmas celebration. I never really know what to make of Christmas. I guess it's a symptom of the neither fish nor fowl syndrome experienced by Jewish Christians. Look, I'm Jewish. As a result, I didn't really carry any childhood Christmas traditions into adulthood. Really, the whole thing is sort of weird for me. Now, my wife is a real Christmas person, and of course our kids love the whole thing. Our grown children all come home for Christmas in their pajamas. Literally, they show up with their wives and our grandchildren in their PJs. We pretend to be sleeping so the grandbabies can come and wake up Grammy and Zadie, and then the festivities begin. It really is great fun. The video camera is always running, and the entire family is charged up, just like the credit cards I rail against. Hey now, look here, if this stuff is just too honest, I don't care. It is great fun to see the family. I love being with my kids and grandkids. I love giving them presents and watching their excitement. We spend time looking back at the annual barrage of videotapes that date back to when my kids were as young as my grandkids, and it is really a great joy. My wife and I appreciate the opportunity to bless our grown children and their kids. After all, how many young couples have extra money lying around to buy needless toys and the non-essential things that fill Christmas wish lists? Here is the problem. Even in a spiritually minded family where dad and all the adult children are in ministry work, the gifts and excitement of the season outshine the reason for the season. Maybe you have developed some better disciplines. Maybe your family invented meaningful methods to ensure that Jesus gets the spotlight at Christmas. Perhaps your parents or grandparents had more creativity and their holiday traditions still help you share your faith with the next generation. If so, maybe you can send me your Christmas story. Honest, I would enjoy hearing your story. Maybe we can kind of help each other do a better job sharing Jesus next Christmas. Please, drop me a line at Crosstalk, P.O. Box 2528, Cedar Hill, Texas 75106, USA. Or call me toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. at 1-800-688-3422. My international friends can send an email when visiting our website, www.crosstalk.org. I really would love to hear your holiday ideas. In the meantime, I must tell you that I'm still a little troubled about Christmas. Each season seems to get a little more materialistic. More lights glitter, but less light really shines. More talk about the baby Jesus and less attention to a risen Savior. Every Christmas seems to give up a little more ground to the culture wars being lost to the masters of Madison Avenue. When will we stop allowing advertisers to dictate which toys will please or which clothes will squeeze our ever-fattening bodies into longer lines at bigger stores to ultimately exchange the useless things bought that we really couldn't afford in the first place? Besides, more things will not make us more happy. We need more of the Master's touch and less of the MasterCard. Now, if I sound like the Christmas Grinch, forgive me. I want to focus on the new year and do a better job of passing the truth on to the people I love. How about you? Do you realize that this is how things work in the family of God? It follows a basic Hebrew concept. The love of God is carried l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation. One generation passes on timeless truths to the next generation in preparation for them to do the same. That is how the cycle continues from father to son. That is how the circle remains unbroken. How's it working in your family? I know that we must be vigilant. We cannot afford to drop our guard at the altar built to worship a fat man in a red suit flanked by flying reindeer, exalted to distract us from the real King of Christmas. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not complaining. I am a blessed man. Normally, I spend the holidays surrounded by people I love. Our home is warm and clean. Our plates are full. My best friend is still my wife, and we have been passionately in love with each other since we were just kids ourselves. We both enjoy the privilege of blessing our children and grandchildren, and when that MasterCard bill comes due, we'll hunker down and write the checks just like millions of other parents. But in the meantime, how can we do a better job of sharing the real meaning of Christmas? The celebration of Jesus should never end. Yet each Christmas, I wonder if it ever really began. Let's take a breath so that in a moment we can consider a little Jewish gal from the Galilee Lamaze Institute and that forgotten father I mentioned.